So happy holidays from the neighborhood! It's been a while since we last talked, and I still get comments on these videos, which is nice. And a few of them have of course pointed out that something once thought lost has been thankfully given back to us. And so, because of that, I just had to come back and talk about it since it's now that time of year again. So let's climb aboard the trolley and head back to the neighborhood, way back actually, to December 20th, 1977. And not during its regular time slot, but during prime time, and for a full hour's visit with Fred.
It's such a good feeling to know you're alive. It's such a happy feeling. You're growing inside, and when you wake up ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that we're friends. You always make each day a special day for me.
Produced during the show's longest hiatus between 1976 and 1979, Fred took those years off to concentrate on other things. He produced his interview show Old Friends, New Friends during that time. But about a year or so into that, he took a hiatus from the hiatus to film Christmas Time with Mr. Rogers. The show was reran every Christmas for the next few years until it wasn't, and the special just kind of disappeared. For many years, the internet considered it lost media, though thumbnails would occasionally pop up here and there. But then last Christmas, the special finally reappeared on the official website. Now it's pretty easy to find on YouTube and pretty much anywhere. For a trip to the neighborhood, it's a real oddity, that's for sure. Let's take a closer look. And things start off with a very different opening, as Fred Pollyanna's around the neighborhood, establishing our characters. I like to think that this is what happens every time Fred walks to his television house. There's actress Frances Bay, who we'll officially meet later, and also series regulars like Betty Aberlin, Mr. McFeely, Francois Clemens, and others. Notice that handshake. Some say the final episode is the only time Fred shook hands with Mr. McFeely, but here it is in the Christmas special 25 years earlier. There's a nice rendition of Fred's normal theme here, mixed in with sleigh bells and a version of Wish You a Merry Christmas. Fred, of course, walks to his television home, since no one in the neighborhood actually drives a car. Fred enters, not singing his signature song, and unwraps a present from the McFeelys, a new pair of shoes, which he needed very badly, even though he only wears his sneakers for 30 minutes a day. Fred's speech about hope really hits the ground running.
I suppose the thing I'd like most to be able to give you is hope. Hope that through your own doing and your own living with others, you'll be able to find what best fits for you in this life. But this hour of television is something I can give you, and we all hope you'll feel very welcome.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Now this is strange. Kids caroling outside a window that no one has ever stood on the other side of before.
Is that the right time?
Just the right time.
Is that the right time? Did the kid just ask if he got his cue right?
I'd like to remember all of the different neighbors that have come to visit in this neighborhood.
Now remember, at this point the show hasn't had new episodes in about a year or so this is a nice little montage of moments and friends that would have really hit people in the nostalgia button. The last set of new episodes in '76 were the ones where Fred showed us the episode tapes in his never-before-seen garage and prepared us for the reruns that were going to happen while he was on hiatus. Yes, I'm still talking about that because it still blows my mind. Imagine if Bear in the Big Blue House took you to a secret room, showed you a bunch of videotapes, and said, here's all the previous times we've hung out together. Only Fred could do this. Mr. McFeely then comes to the door, and we begin to start setting up this special central dilemma. Stephanie, a character we've never met before until exactly right now, is upset because her parents are unable to get home for Christmas. And her big dance in the neighborhood holiday get-together isn't exactly, let's see, how far are we into this? 10 minutes? And the special's about an hour? I'd say about 45 minutes from right now.
You see, her mother and father and Andrew were out of town, and they expected to be back for the get-together, but their car broke down just outside of Urbanville, and I don't think they'll make it back.
Oh, what a shame. Well, what's she going to do?
Well, Mrs. Hamilton is staying with her, but it won't be the same thing.
I guess it won't.
There's just something kind of off about this interaction. It contains a lot of exposition that this show doesn't normally involve itself with. Fred accompanies Mr. McFeely over to the theater where Stephanie is practicing her dance, and the neighbors we met in the opening sequence are all hanging out too. So that's thematically consistent. Also, the show's musical director John Costa is there at the piano, which is nice. Francois then regales us with a dream he had recently, and suddenly we're off on an 8-minute tangent. Francois and his traveling choir, the OK Chorale. Now that's clever, I like that. Well, unfortunately, their van breaks down on the way to... Oh, damn. Stranger danger message incoming.
Suppose the kids and I get busy while you're working.
Uh-oh. Where's Pooh when you need him?
And don't forget, there are good strangers and bad strangers.
But luckily, everything's cool with the OK Choral, as actor Stanley Clay, portraying the Music Man, helps get the children singing and the van back on the road. But first, here he is Pied Pipering the kids into an old abandoned factory. 3 cheers for tetanus shots.
Be too smart for strangers like me, Winnie the Pooh. I'm a bear who takes care everywhere, and so should you.
It's not often there were extended sequences without Fred. This feels kind of like a spin-off, like that episode of The Golden Girls that's not about the Golden Girls, but about Rena Moreno. Look, they're living in the Weston's house before that was spun off into Empty Nest. It's just so weird. Or that time we met Grady's family on Sanford and Son. Or that time... Stephanie and Mr. Rogers go back to Fred's and talk about the plot. These interactions definitely feel more scripted than a normal episode. In real life, Stephanie Selby was a dancer and was the high-profile subject of the book A Very Young Dancer, a book that inspired a generation of ballerinas and dancers. She passed away in 2022.
Hi, Mrs. Hamilton.
Hi, Fred. I just ran over to see if you had any extra eggs you could give me.
And then once again, we meet Frances Bay, best known for her roles in Happy Gilmore, Seinfeld, and so many others. She's playing Franny Hamilton, maybe a reference to Margaret Hamilton, I'm guessing? She's popped by to borrow some eggs. It's interesting to watch Fred stand around and watch while other people act.
Perfect.
Oh, Stephanie, I thought you were at the theater.
Oh, we finished rehearsing, so I came over here for a while.
I really do have 1 egg
Oh,
in the
thanks,
refrigerator.
but no thanks. I've got to have at least 6. I
6?
was just beginning my special Christmas cake and found I was plumb out of eggs. It seems everything's going wrong.
Stephanie begins to make up a story, and once again, it's the Music Man to the rescue.
And he wears sneakers.
With sneakers on his ears.
On his ears.
Yes, that's what I said. In Stephanie's story, the Music Man helps Franny Hamilton corral a bunch of people in chicken costumes. Watch out, Franny. Don't let the chickens take your marble rye.
Oh, someone help!
Shut up, you old pig!
These extended fantasy sequences are kind of out of character for the show. It often did opera stories, but only during the neighborhood segments. I wonder if this is something that Fred would have done again and perhaps thought better of in later years. But it's a Christmas special, so I can kind of allow these flights of fancy. Like turning chickens into Christmas trees. And now probably the most noteworthy part of the show, where Fred talks about Hanukkah and shows the neighbors a dreidel. He even sings the dreidel song.
Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Oh, dreidel, 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 my dreidel I will play.
Pretty sure most children's shows weren't doing this back then, so it feels very ahead of its time, a decade before even Pee-wee got there.
We'll have some of our neighborhood of make-believe now. Hey, Charlie?
And with the entrance of the trolley, it's time to visit the neighborhood of make-believe. Incidentally, the castle still has the fountain there. Eventually that would disappear from the set altogether. And then later on, King Friday would gift the fountain to Mayor Maggie in Westwood. Lady Aberlin and Handyman Negri are helping Mr. McFeely deliver presents to all the neighbors. But King Friday has declared that no one will open presents until he says the word. And of course, Lady Elaine is upset because waiting is hard. But when she realizes other neighbors got more presents than her, she turns the entire neighborhood upside down.
I'm going to show you all how I feel. Opening, schmopening, presents, bresents, boomerang, toomerang, soomerang.
Oh, Lady Elaine.
Lady Elaine.
This is awful.
That's
You're
what
just
it
ruining
is.
presents.
Now nobody can open. Not the people with 8 presents, not the people with 6 presents, nobody.
Everyone is perplexed, except the Music Man, as Stanley Clay makes his lone appearance in Make Believe.
See my boomerang? Well, boomerang, toomerang, soomerang to you. Hey, how did you do that?
With my stick.
And his magic stick gives Lady Elaine's boomerang a run for her money. After a battle of wits, the two call it a draw as the Music Man presents her with footage of a live-action Lady Elaine ice skating. Which is the gift that keeps on giving the whole year. This pleases Lady Elaine, and whoa! Suddenly Purple Panda for some reason!
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe someday I could skate like that without any curtain.
Oh, you could if you're willing to try.
Maybe I could learn to skate with another person, too.
Of course.
These two have themselves a bit of a meet cute. And hey, here's a reference for you. On Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, a show produced like 50 years later, Lady Elaine is married to Music Man Stan. They even got a kiddo. A reference to this lost Christmas special right on Front Street in this current TV program. I really appreciate that deep cut.
Yes, I guess we are ready for present opening time. And the word this year is... Are you ready?
Ready. Sure.
Slopperydozafanoondapuck.
Go! Okay.
King Friday finally gives the word, and everybody gets to open their presents. Okay, so this kind of madness is just for me, but Lady Aberlin puts a small Hanukkah banner, the one that Fred showed us earlier, on top of the trolley, and it actually comes back to reality with it. So now does Fred have 2 of them? Is that how that works? Sorry, but I'm always looking for those kind of layers in the show. I just find it interesting. It's kind of like when Nancy wakes up with Freddy's hat. Fred stops by to visit Stephanie on his way to the 3rd act for another seemingly scripted interaction. And suddenly we're in Vasquez Rocks for yet another fantasy sequence involving our characters. Actually, I'm not sure if this is Vasquez Rocks or not, but I'm just going to continue making jokes like that's exactly where we are. Suddenly Stephanie, her parents, Music Man Stan, and Mrs. Choate are on a mission to find a missing boy. Their clothes are still appropriate for the times, but this sequence kind of feels like it's out of time, maybe? I don't know. Either way, they'd better keep an eye out. There's talk of Gorn in them there hills.
Hallelujah.
The Music Man and friends break into song, and a boy and a lamb emerge from a tomb, just like Jesus did on the 3rd day. And then they Marco Polo back and forth until they find the boy, before walking back to civilization all singing. Careful you don't sing too loud and fall off a cliff, or you'll have to face off against the Reaper.
Best of 7?
Damn right.
We're going to be late for the get-together if we don't...
Oh, that's right, Mr. Rogers is in this. So finally we come to the celebration everyone's been talking about. And it's nice to see all of our characters there, even ones who didn't get much play in this episode. Audrey Cleans Everything is there, Stone Cold Fox Mrs. McFeely, Elsie Neal. And look, there's Stan, and he's found Stephanie's parents! Everyone has their moment as all the story threads come together, and Fred stands back and witnesses all of this. Stephanie then performs her dance, and it's a hit! The audience applauds.
Please tell her how proud I was of her, will you? I have to go.
Fred's like, I can't stay, but give her my love. That's just so Fred. 'Cause he's got a Christmas special to end. Bring it on home, Fred.
I, for one, wish you good memories of this holiday. And I hope you'll be able to look for all the different ways people have of showing that they love you. It's such a good
The first Fred standard of the episode, and it's so welcome.
You're growing inside, and when you wake up, ready to say, I think I'll make a snappy new day.
And so that's Christmas Time with Mr. Rogers, and it's a weird special. The Fred bits where he talks to camera, as always, are the highlight, but the interactions with characters and the story sequences kind of make Fred a supporting character in his own special. The highlight for me is definitely the make-believe segment. Anytime Lady Elaine is making mischief, I'm totally there for it. I think it's rad that this episode is finally available. For me, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but if you're a fan of The Neighborhood, it's a must-watch. Also, if you're a fan, you can spend the whole year with Fred. I recently got this 2024 Day at a Time calendar. It's available on Amazon. A different bit of Fred wisdom every day. And that gives me a very good feeling. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next time in The Neighborhood.
It's been good visiting with you. I'll be back again. Bye for now.